Well, hi everybody. My name is Mark Ferguson. I'm Director of Morefire Public Relations here, and I'm delighted to be joined by the Digital and Marketing Manager, Manav Matha of Favouritetable, the restaurant booking system service based here in the UK. Manav, how are you today and how's everything going?
Thanks for the lovely introduction, Mark. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm doing great. How about you?
Yeah, really good. Thanks, Manav. Now, today we're going to be talking about this whole process of digital marketing and how restaurants can keep Google happy. Now, this is obviously a pretty important issue for every modern restaurateur, I guess.
So, when we talk about keeping Google happy, and not just Google, other search engines like Bing, Yahoo, we're actually talking about meeting its criteria. You can call them as guidelines to provide traffic to your website or to rank them higher in their search results. And by traffic, I mean visitors who are actually visiting your website by looking at the search results, which is what we call search engine optimization, or in short, SEO. And you know what, Mark? Like apart from all these technical guidelines, keeping Google happy would also mean keeping your website visitors happy. And I'm sure a lot of digital marketers would agree to me when I say that Google absolutely loves you when your visitors do. So yep, there's that.
So, there's a lot of, it seems to me, kind of complex terminology that perhaps the average business owner might not fully understand. I'm aware of this idea that it's important to keep updating your website with fresh content. We hear this term search engine optimization. There's issues like domain authority, and then there's this whole concept of organic content versus paid content. So if we just start with something like search engine optimization, if I'm a restaurant owner and I'm sitting here looking at my website thinking, okay, I know that SEO is important, what might I actually need to do? Where do I begin? I understand that there's an area here around keywords. We talk about keywords, right?
So let's think of it from a customer's perspective, Mark, first. Let's say if I'm a diner and let's say I want to have some Chinese food tonight and I don't know any good restaurants nearby. I'll just straight away pick up my phone. I'll type that keyword on Google, and there you have it, a list of the best Chinese restaurants near me, right? So that the best Chinese restaurant near me is called a keyword in SEO language. And you'll be surprised to know that every month around 27,000 people are looking for this particular keyword in London itself, and even more if you comprise the entire United Kingdom. Google basically has free tools to allow you to find the best keywords for your business. Let's say if you're a Chinese restaurant, right, and you want to optimize your website or your webpage for keywords that your potential diners or your potential customers are looking out for. So the best thing that you would do is you go to the keyword planner, you look for the keywords related to Chinese restaurants. Google will suggest you even more keywords when you go through that tool. So that's how you look for the best keywords. And once you are done finding the right keywords for your business, which your potential customers are looking out for, your next step would be to optimize those keywords on your website or your local listing. The third and final step would be promoting your website or your listing on other relevant platforms, which is called off-page SEO.
When you talked about sort of like keywords there, we used the example of a Chinese restaurant. Now I'm trying to think off the top of my head. So the obvious keywords that jump out at me would be Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
Then I guess you might put in, if you were to offer a takeout service or a takeaway service, I guess you might use those kinds of words as well. Would you use keywords related to like the geography of your restaurant? So if you're based in Reading or somewhere like that, would you put those words in as well to help people find you?
That is called local SEO. Now, with some advancements in Google's algorithm, you don't necessarily need to include the name of the location where you are located in. The Google listing would do the job. Once you list your business in the place where you are at on Google My Business Listing profile, so Google will do the job. Google will let your potential diners find you whenever they look out for, let's say, you just give an example of Reading. So let's say if I type best Chinese restaurants in Reading, so your listing will be on the top when a potential customers will look for it. So, yeah.
Right. Okay, great. And then when you were talking about promoting those keywords, and we're saying we don't want to get too deep into the technicalities of it, but I presume that just simply sort of like updating elements of content on your website would help in that promotion of those keywords, correct?
That's right. That's right. but that's just on-page SEO. Although there's more to it. Like I mentioned, there's specific guidelines that needs to be followed. Previously, we discussed how to keep Google happy, and I mentioned that there are such specific guidelines that Google has. So yeah, if you follow all those practices, you're good to go. But then this next step, which is off-page, which is the most challenging part initially, if you're new to business. But I think because once you optimize your website, once you're done with the on-page SEO, you can't just sit and wait for the magic to happen, right? So you'll need to promote your website or your local listings on every relevant website or every relevant platform that you can find. Well, Favouritetable is a great place to start with because it's a restaurant directory, and find similar directories, get yourself published there, and with time Google will find out that, okay, so this particular domain, this particular restaurant is building its authority. It has great on-page SEO. It's optimized for the best keywords, and yes, you'll start seeing the results. Although it's a long-term process, but it's worth it.
Got it. Okay, great. So just to recap, we're talking about having a fully completed and up-to-date website. We're talking about populating that website with relevant keywords that describe your business and the offer, services, products, menus that it provides. I guess customer testimonials perhaps could be something that could be updated on a regular basis as well. Yeah,
Absolutely.
and then once you've got all of that linked in with your Google My Business page, which contains everything from the link to your website through to your opening hours, through to your menus, through to updates and so on and so forth. That's the kind of, if you're not doing this already, that's the beginning of this like journey with Google and towards keeping the whole system happy and enabling people to find you, right?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about this whole organic versus paid element of the web. What does that mean for a restaurant? What perhaps should they be getting involved with?
Okay, so Mark, whatever we have discussed till now, we have discussed about all the organic methods to bring traffic to your website, which comprises of following the best Google's practices, and although it's a slow process, but when we talk about paid marketing or PPC, which is a short form of pay-per-click campaigns, it's more of a sponsored approach. Both have their merits. You might have noticed sometimes that Google shows you the results which are absolutely on the top and has a sponsored tag right besides them. So those are the paid placements and not organic ones. Organic are those which are right below them and do not have any ad or a sponsored tag with them. So yeah, I think a combination of both of these approaches would be really beneficial for a business.
I mean, it sounds from what you're saying as though there's no bad thing to do in terms of engaging with Google and the internet. I mean, you want your presence everywhere. You want your presence repeated. You want to update on a regular basis. You made a point, I think, about this is something that doesn't just happen overnight. It's kind of like a long-term process. So do restaurant owners basically have to keep hammering away at this, keep making it work, keep putting new information on to be successful?
I mean, all they have to do is, focus on building some great, strong organic visibility through SEO, and but it's really important to complement with PPC advertising as well, which is paid placements, and this is to ensure that you prominently appear for specific searches, which are of course what your customers would search for. So I think, like I previously mentioned, it's great to have both of these processes go together.
Okay, great. So let's talk a moment about social media. I mean, that's an area, of course, that I feel is becoming increasingly important for all and every business that's operating out there. Now, do you have any kind of like thoughts on the kind of platforms that restaurants should be engaging with or appearing on? Anything about what they should or shouldn't be doing in your view?
Yeah, I mean, well, if you think about it, Mark, I think restaurants should really focus on, prioritizing the platforms where their target audience is most active.
Right.
For example, Instagram and Facebook, these are generally effective because that's where you find the best of the food bloggers and influencers. While Twitter can be great for some real-time updates, if we talk about LinkedIn specifically, so it's great to build some B2B relations. It completely depends on what kind of audience you want to target.
Well, I guess one thing that strikes me about the restaurant sector is that it's highly visual. I mean, people
Yes.
want to see the environment that they might be eating in. They want to see the types of foods, the drinks, the ambience of the place, perhaps if they've never visited before. So I guess nearly every platform now offers that to one extent or another. Some are more visual than others. I mean, Instagram obviously is highly visual. YouTube certainly very visual. Facebook as well. There's been some sort of like ups and downs with X, formerly Twitter. Personally, I'm finding that a much harder platform to operate on because the guardrails seem to have fallen off of the thing, frankly.
I know where you're coming from. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But I mean, so it's interesting. Now, I guess as well that ideally this is something that a restaurant owner wouldn't necessarily leave to somebody who's just doing work experience with them because it's quite important to get hands-on with social media. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. So social media is all about storytelling, and visuals are crucial. Like you mentioned, high quality photos and videos of your dishes, your staff, and some behind the scene elements would really help. And if I put it very simply and a bit brutally, so just don't be boring on social media. It's all about visually appealing elements, and that's how you'll find the best quality audience for you. So showcase your culinary expertise if you're a restaurant. So engage with your audience regularly by asking some questions or running polls. So yeah, it's really important.
Well, that's great, and I really like the idea of some behind the scenes activity and footage as well. Something that you don't always see in a restaurant. I think that would be highly engaging and a fantastic top tip. Thank you. So I just want to move on to the big picture, bringing all of these marketing and digital plans together. So how crucial is it to have, in your opinion, consistent messaging or a form of consistent messaging running throughout all of the various platforms that we're talking about here?
It's extremely crucial, Mark. I mean, in order to build a very strong brand identity, it's really important if we keep the messaging consistent on all the platforms wherever we are at. And it could be from your website to your social media to your email campaigns. I mean, wherever you are, your branding and your messaging should be the same. And you need to ensure that your brand voice and the overall messaging it aligns very seamlessly, and this would really help in building a very strong brand identity, I believe.
Ever since we emerged from the COVID pandemic, which feels like a lifetime ago now, but actually wasn't all that long, I guess.
Yeah.
Restaurants have been kept on their toes, haven't they, about what they need to do, what they need to change, the kind of offers that they present and everything. And I guess that there could be, new challenges around the corner that none of us are really aware of yet. So what do you feel about the whole element of digital marketing and adaptability?
Well, I'll take an example here, Mark. It's not really related to digital marketing, but during COVID, what we have noticed that a lot of restaurants who adapted to takeaways, including some of our restaurant partners who had the online food ordering system module integrated, all of them had a great chance of survival. And they adapted to the changing circumstances so fast. So it's really important to stay agile and monitor the best industry trends and listen to your customer feedback most of all, and always be willing to adapt with the ever-changing digital landscape, you see.
So the area that I want to conclude on is the ever important theme of budgeting. What kind of pricing should people be putting in place for all of this digital online marketing, social activity? Maybe not necessarily a figure, but sort of perhaps in proportion to their overarching business. Is it something that they should dedicate an afternoon to a week, or should it be more than that? What are your thoughts?
Well, Mark, I personally believe that it depends on the business goals, right? Because there are some restaurants who can spend a fortune on their campaigns, whereas there are a few who really struggles to run some kind of sponsored campaign. So it completely depends on their final goals. And see, budgeting is all about allocating your resources really effectively. So it's important to prioritize your activities accordingly based on your budget, be it your media campaigns or remarketing or whatever your goals are. And it's also important to regularly assess your campaigns, the data that you've been getting, and then allocate your budget based on the performance.
Wonderful. Okay, great. Well, listen, that's been a fascinating conversation. Thank you so much, Manav. I really enjoyed spending time with you on this. And, indeed, I guess if anyone else has any further questions about the process of digital marketing, the process of integrating software with their business, I guess they want to get in touch with Favouritetable.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll be happy to help, Mark.
Okay, wonderful. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure speaking. As I say, you take care of yourself and look forward to catching up again soon.
You do, Mark. Thank you so much again for the wonderful podcast. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.